Welcome to this deep dive, all about Cristiano Ronaldo, I think. We have a
Yeah.
great podcast episode here that really gets into how he became like a global football legend. And,
Yeah.
um, I'm curious for you, when you think about Ronaldo, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it his footwork, the goals,
Mhm.
or maybe it's the whole larger than life sort of persona? We want to go a little deeper than that.
Yeah, you're right. It's very easy to just see the highlight reel and
Ah,
just be amazed by his play, but this podcast does such a good job at illustrating how he came from really, really humble beginnings in Madeira.
And that's the thing, right? His dad was like the kit man for the local club, and his mom was a cook. It wasn't like a
Oh.
background of, luxury or anything, but, that passion for football was there.
Totally. And there's this one anecdote from the podcast that I thought was really cool. They talk about a young Ronaldo sharing a bedroom with his siblings and playing barefoot in the streets with like a makeshift ball. I think that just paints a picture of how his drive developed. It wasn't like fancy equipment or academies or anything like that. It was pure passion for the game.
It kind of makes you wonder, did seeing his father be so close to the game but not on the field as the kit man, did that like make Ronaldo even hungrier? I mean, maybe even sharing a room with his siblings, did that make him more competitive?
Yeah, those are good questions. The podcast talks about how Ronaldo's dad, even though he wasn't a pro player himself, he instilled in him a deep respect for just how much dedication and hard work you need in football. I think it was huge for Ronaldo to see how committed his dad was to the team, even though he was working behind the scenes. And about the shared room thing, yeah, the podcast kind of presents it as this like testing ground where his competitive spirit was born. It wasn't about like fighting with his siblings or anything, but it was more like he's always pushing to be better, even in their small house.
And he was only 11 years old when he decided to leave home to join Sporting CP's academy in Lisbon. I mean, most kids that age are like super close with their families, but he went off on his own to chase his dream.
Right. Yeah. That move really shows how much he believed in himself and how dedicated he was to football. It's pretty amazing to have that kind of courage at such a young age.
Yeah, you realize this isn't just about natural talent. He was willing to give up a lot and go way outside his comfort zone, all for his love of the game. And then he had to deal with a huge setback at 15 when he was diagnosed with a heart condition that could have ended his career right then.
Oh, yeah. That was a really tough time for him.
Yeah.
It could have derailed everything. But Ronaldo faced it head on. He had surgery, went through a tough recovery, and somehow made it back to the field with even more determination.
It almost seems like that experience made him stronger instead of breaking him. It just showed how resilient he is.
The podcast really makes that point. It wasn't just about his body healing. It was about his mental toughness, too. Bouncing back from something that could have ended his career. I think it showed him just how strong he was mentally, and that helped him a lot throughout his career.
And this all leads up to 2003. There's a friendly match between Sporting CP and Manchester United. Ronaldo is 18 at the time, and he just puts on an amazing show. His skill and speed are incredible. Manchester United's defense is totally lost.
And Sir Alex Ferguson, Manchester United's legendary manager, he was watching from the stands.
Oh, wow.
He was so blown away by Ronaldo that he signed him right after the match.
It's crazy how one match, one chance can completely change your life. That move to Manchester United under a manager like Ferguson really launched him into global stardom.
And at Manchester United, he goes from this raw, super talented winger to like a goal-scoring machine. The podcast talks about how Ferguson was really important in that transformation. He taught Ronaldo tactical discipline, helped him improve his skills, and helped him use his energy in a more focused way.
So it wasn't just natural ability, it was about improving that ability with the help of a brilliant strategist. And the results are obvious. In 2008, after years of steady progress, he scores an amazing 42 goals in a single season. That's what got him his first Ballon d'Or award.
Exactly. It just shows how dedicated he was, how much he worked, and how well he learned from his coaches. His time at Manchester United wasn't just about scoring goals. It was about building a foundation of excellence that he could use to reach even greater heights. And this brings us to the next part of his journey, a period of record-breaking transfers and some truly iconic moments in football.
Yeah, this is where he goes to Real Madrid, a club that's all about grandeur and ambition. It wasn't just a big move for his career, it changed the way people thought about money in football.
So in 2009, Ronaldo goes to Real Madrid, and this transfer fee was like $94 million. It was a world record at the time. These transfer fees are basically like buyout clauses. When a player's under contract with one club, another club has to pay that fee to get them. It's kind of complicated, but basically, the higher the fee, the more valuable the player.
Hmm.
And Ronaldo's move to Real Madrid was huge, not just because of all the money, but also because it meant that a global superstar was joining a team that already had a ton of talent.
Yeah, it was a big risk for Real Madrid, right? Remember, people were skeptical. Could he handle the pressure? Would he fit in with the other star players? It must have been intense.
It is interesting to look back at that time. The podcast has some commentary from like football experts and former players, and they were pretty doubtful. They weren't sure if Ronaldo could be as successful in La Liga as he was in the Premier League. Some even thought that he was too much of an individual player, and that wouldn't work with Real Madrid's team-oriented style.
But Ronaldo proved everyone wrong just like he always does.
Exactly. His time at Real Madrid was incredible. He scored so many goals, and his game evolved tactically. He wasn't just a winger anymore. He became a complete forward. He could play anywhere in the attack. He could be a central striker, or he could drop back and create chances for his teammates. He was always dangerous. Free kicks, headers, penalties, he could score from anywhere. He ended up with like 450 goals in 438 appearances. That's insane. It's almost hard to believe.
Yeah, he was a goal-scoring machine. But I think it was the way he scored those goals that made him so exciting to watch.
I still get chills when I think about that bicycle kick against Juventus in the Champions League.
That goal shows exactly what made Ronaldo so special. It wasn't just the athleticism or how bold the move was, it was also the timing, the precision, and his awareness of where he was on the field. It was pure genius, and it's one of the most famous moments in Champions League history. And he had so many moments like that. He always stepped up in big games and scored important goals that helped Real Madrid win 4 Champions League titles while he was there.
He was the kind of player who loved pressure. He wanted to be on the biggest stage, for sure. He always believed in himself and always wanted to prove himself. That mindset, combined with how hard he worked and how dedicated he was, is what helped him be so consistently good. It's almost unheard of in modern football. But like you said, his journey didn't end in Madrid. In 2018, he went to Juventus in the Italian Serie A. He was 33 at the time, and some people thought he was past his prime. They weren't sure if he could keep dominating in a new league that was known for being really tactical and defensive.
It's funny how people start talking about players declining when they reach a certain age. It's like they expect them to slow down and that their best years are over.
Right. And Ronaldo proved them wrong again. He adapted his game to Serie A and showed how versatile and smart he was as a player. He kept scoring a lot of goals and helped Juventus win 2 league titles. He clearly still wanted to win as much as ever.
It seems like he's always been motivated by proving doubters wrong and overcoming limitations.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what makes his story bigger than just football. It shows how powerful hard work, dedication, and self-belief can be. His story reminds us that we can all push our limits and achieve things that other people might think are impossible. But we can't just talk about what he did on the field. The podcast also talks about his life off the pitch, which is pretty interesting too. He's created this global brand, CR7, that goes way beyond football.
It is amazing how he's used his success in football to create a whole business empire. Clothing lines, fragrances, hotels. He even has a museum dedicated to him in Madeira. It's like he's built a whole world around his image. But there's also a side to him that doesn't get as much attention. He does a lot of charity work.
That's right. The podcast highlights all the charitable things he does. He gives a lot of money to hospitals, he's paid for surgeries for kids, and he's helped with disaster relief efforts. It's obvious that he wants to use his fame and money to make the world a better place.
It makes you see him in a different light, right? You see the fierce competitor on the field and the global icon, but then you also see that he genuinely wants to give back and use his influence for good.
It shows that even really famous people are complex, and there's more to them than what you see in the news. And his family seems to be really important to him. The podcast talks about his relationship with his partner, Georgina, his children, and his mother. They seem to give him a lot of stability and support in his crazy life.
It makes him seem more relatable, right? It shows that even with all the fame and money, he still needs love, connection, and family.
Exactly. And it shows how important balance is. He's always striving for excellence in football, but he also knows how important it is to have strong personal relationships and to nurture those bonds that give him strength and support.
So we have Cristiano Ronaldo. He's achieved almost everything you can in football. He's broken records, won countless trophies, and is considered one of the best players of all time. But what's really remarkable is that his story isn't just about stats and awards.
It's about resilience, dedication, the pursuit of excellence, and believing in yourself even when nobody else does.
It's a story that goes beyond sports, and it can inspire anyone who's trying to reach their goals no matter what they're trying to achieve. His story is a great example of the potential we all have.
It really makes you think. A kid from humble beginnings reaches the very top of his sport, breaks tons of records, and becomes a global icon.
Yeah, it's incredible. But as we were going through these sources, it hit me that it's not just how much he's achieved, it's how he did it.
I totally agree. It's the never-ending dedication, the commitment to his craft, the constant drive to be better. The podcast really highlights this, talking to his old teammates and coaches who saw firsthand how hard he worked, his discipline, his almost obsessive focus on improving every part of his game.
They talk about him being the first one at training and the last to leave, always putting in extra time, constantly asking for feedback and looking for ways to get better. That dedication, that willingness to push himself further is what sets him apart.
He's like a finely tuned machine. He's optimized every aspect of his physical and mental performance. That doesn't just happen naturally. It takes years of consistent effort, of pushing beyond your comfort zone, of embracing the hard work that most people avoid.
It's like he has this never settle attitude. He always wants to be better, to go further, to prove that he can do even more. It's something we can all learn from, not just in sports, but in life.
Absolutely. And that drive doesn't seem to fade even as he gets older. He's still playing at a high level, breaking records, showing everyone that age is just a number if you're dedicated and committed enough.
So what about you listening right now? What parts of Ronaldo's journey resonate with you? What lessons can you take away from his story and use in your own life?
Maybe it's that image of him as a kid playing barefoot in the streets of Madeira. Maybe that reminds you of your own passion of doing what you love no matter what. Or maybe it's his resilience after that heart condition. It reminds us that we all face setbacks, but they don't have to define us. We can overcome challenges and come out stronger on the other side.
Or maybe it's how he's always evolving as a player, adapting to new leagues, new challenges, always looking to improve and stay ahead. It shows the importance of lifelong learning, of being open to new experiences, of never getting complacent.
Ronaldo's story reminds us that we all have the potential for greatness. It's about having big goals, working hard to achieve them, and never giving up on your dreams, even when things get tough or people doubt you.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive into Ronaldo's life has made you curious about other athletes who faced challenges and achieved amazing things. There are so many stories out there just waiting to be discovered, each one offering unique insights and inspiration.
That's what's so great about these deep dives. We explore the lives of these incredible people, uncover the hidden stories behind their success, and find valuable lessons that we can apply to our own lives. It's about broadening our horizons, challenging our perspectives, and ultimately becoming more well-rounded individuals.
So keep exploring, keep learning, keep diving deep into the things that make you curious. You never know what you might find.
And remember, like Ronaldo's story shows us, the potential for greatness is inside all of us.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep chasing your own version of greatness.